social media is trying to own our attention, our focus. Well, what is the outcome of that? The depression, the anxiety, the suicide because of it, the lack of feeling a sense of purpose in life. It's all being driven because we're becoming so disconnected from the world in front of us to the world beyond us through our devices.
Welcome to Behind the Live podcast, the show that takes you backstage to uncover the real stories and strategies that power your favorite creators, entrepreneurs, and leaders. No filters, just honest, real talk. Now, let's get into it.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I'm Michael David Riley. People call me MD. I'm a dad first, entrepreneur. And like I said, I'm just kind of a guy that learned life the hard way through everything. Through marriage, married, divorced 3 times. I have 3 amazing kids. I've had incredible successes as an athlete, incredible failures, both as an athlete and in business. I just never stopped showing up. And through that, a lot of abuse growing up as a kid, even though I was raised in a Christian home, it brought its own struggles. Even with my exposure to religion, it created such a melting pot of what evolved me through my life, and ended up being a college dropout, really trying to find my way, that there was just a relentless side of me that wanted to just find the next thing that I feel like I was destined to do. I never thought I would be where I am today, doing what I do, having accomplished some of the things that I have in my life, not being the sharpest tool in the shed, not being the educated, but I became a student of life and a student of myself and humans, because that's the thing that fascinated me the most. And, by pursuing the things that compelled me, really began to open up the path of where I felt like my purpose was. And that was to help other people, to serve other people, as a brand strategist and marketing consultant, because I love small business owners. I love their passion. I love their vision. I love to help them chart that path with more clarity. Any small business owner is going to wear multiple hats. And if their business is not marketing, marketing's not their thing. So, as people get up to a place in life where they can begin to hire experts, I like to be able to be the guy that helps them. But at the same time, this with 35K, as I studied myself and humans, that has been a driving force in marketing, but it's also been a driving force in being able to relate and help other people, especially men. I really didn't see the niche and the focus of audience for men until about 1.5 years ago. And as I began to go through things as a man and began to hear other stories, especially since COVID, okay, this is where I think this thing needs to go. So that really with 35K is where this turned into. And there are a lot of women that follow it, but I was here to really help men. And so, as I'm 52 years old in a place in life where I'm looking at where's the next phase of impact, it's this right here. And so, my life growing up, I was an only child. And so I, had to figure things out on my own. And it's where I'm still at in life. But now I have a tremendous circle of guys in my life that I value the friendships, value the iron sharpens iron, because it's ultimately what has broadened my vision and my scope of even just how I show up every single day. So, my faith in myself, faith in God, faith in humanity, where I lost it for a long time. I believe people just need to be reminded of who they are and what they're really capable of because of who they were created to be. And I feel like I would love to play a part in that in people's life and how I can show up and help them.
We try to focus on the common day person that is making a change, that is trying to push forward to gain a career inside of being a content creator, creating the new latest and greatest idea, but give everyone a platform.
Yeah.
And again, in social media, that's what it's all about. It's all
Right.
about kind of the more networking you can do, the further you get pushed out. Especially in the age of social media today, multimedia, it's so vast and so big. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how that goes. The next thing
Yeah.
you know, you're viral and all the other stuff. So
I've built
gotta love
brands
how
that
it
have gone
goes.
viral. I've
Hmm.
I've been a brand strategist for over 20 years.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so I've pushed a lot of brands, especially with social media over the last few years through these verticals.
Hmm.
35K has been my passionate outlet as I've just studied human behavior for the past 15 or so years. Because it is a driving force in marketing. Because in designing brands and crafting messages to appeal to an audience, you've got to understand what makes them tick. And so the understanding of humans helps you better understand how to communicate better. So, but these
For sure.
verticals, I was doing marketing and branding pre-digital social. So, watching and leveraging these and being a part of them and watching them grow and what draws people has been one of the most fascinating and also troubling. When you look, because on a personal level, I don't really like social media.
Hmm.
It can be very distracting. With my kids, they are all feet in the dirt. That's how they've grown up. And
Yeah.
so they have a much more balanced life that isn't glued to the black mirror, which
Hmm.
I'm grateful for, because a lot of studies and I'm coming across so much data of the negative impact in our psyche because of it. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, it's also very helpful because it allows people at scale to connect with things that they never would have prior that can be very helpful in their life.
Hmm.
So it's a balance with it, you know?
Yeah. And everything in mediation is a good thing. I
Hmm.
always say that too. Depends on what your level of that mediation is.
Mm.
Because again, no matter what you look at in our life, vehicles are a horrible thing. How many millions of people die every day from vehicles and
Hmm.
vehicle accidents? You know what I mean? But where would we be without cars and trucks?
Hmm.
So social media is the same way, like you say. And I have many of friends all across the world that I communicate with in a positive manner
Yeah.
and learn things from them and be
Hmm.
able to interact and connect and to grow as a human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I would never receive those kind of opportunities to speak with someone from Russia, to speak with someone from
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people from China on this on a lot of apps. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's interesting again that you're able, as you said, to connect and to network across the world. But again, yeah, when you look at the average user supposedly on like TikTok media is an hour and 40 minutes a day.
Hmm.
It's probably a lot more than that. And
And that's
again, you're
just
right.
TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. Just that, let alone the other big giants. And again, you look at how one app or one thing can really swing society.
Hmm.
That's the scary part, the vast power of manipulation sometimes
Hmm.
that these apps present. So we try to do it a little bit more of a positive way by
Hmm.
by having people like you on and be able to express different views.
Yeah. I see
So,
TikTok being where you need to be present on the platform and doing lives daily
Yeah.
to really get trustworthiness with the algorithm so that it will expose you to a lot more of its users. But the live feature, it's again, it's the dopamine addiction. You're swiping through
Hmm.
these lives. Is this interesting? 1 second later, no. Next, like you have TikTok demands as a creator to be consistently engaging in everything you're putting out. And I see the creators that are doing well with it and how they're monetizing it, but there's something about what they're doing that is visually interesting. It's like a constant visual hook every couple of
Right.
seconds. And, whether that's music in the background, your setting, if you're hot, or if you've got multiple people in it, there's just so many things that are drawing people's attention. It almost becomes information overload, but that's
Hmm.
kind of what's drawing people to that platform. And I have one friend that he goes live 5 times a day for like 30 minutes, and he's been slowly monetizing it, but it's become a full-time job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We tell people that all the time. If you want this to be a career, you have to put the time in to make it a career.
Hmm.
This is not a Sophie Rain thing where you're going to be on for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, Nike's calling you, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You have that niche is possible, which
Mhm.
we've seen it through the 2020 because really think about this. COVID really defined TikTok because
Mhm.
we were all stuck at home, and you had that
Yeah.
live interaction with people, and that was like going over to your buddy's house to watch the
Right.
game. People are literally socializing. I have so many people I know that literally are on TikTok, and they go to bed on TikTok,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, the world's a much greater place. So and once again, the goods and bads, the moderation of everything, where it's great because it exposes you, but then also that's its evil plot because of the effect that it has on our psyche as a human race. And I've seen the difference in people over the past 5 years with TikTok and everything. Not just TikTok, but people I
Mhm.
know. It's like, what happened to you? You know what I mean? Where's the I'm going to go touch grass? And you notice that's also kind of a trend thing. They're trying to inspire you to go outside and put down the phone for a few minutes, because it's getting
Mhm.
that bad. But then also, again, people make careers off of this.
Mhm.
People touch people's lives with this.
Yeah.
And again, as you said, it gives you such a great vast avenue to travel down, but on the same point, it's a dangerous road. It's the slippery and narrow path you have to walk down, because if you deviate, you're stuck on the phone for 5 hours a day with no life, no friends, and you wake up and
Right.
you're like, oh, it's Saturday, what happened to the
Yeah.
week?
Yeah.
So
My daughter and I, we were talking yesterday, and I asked her, highs and lows this week. She's a senior in high school, and she said, I've had a couple of nights where I've woken up in the middle of the night, and then I had some really vivid dreams, but I just woke up tired. My brain was tired.
mhm.
Okay, kiddo, well, what time did you wake up? I was like 2 or 3. So immediately it tells me that was a cortisol spike, which is correlated to stress and anxiety. And it's about the time when your brain is about to slip into its REM cycle. But if cortisol spikes, it's the central nervous system's reaction of feeling in a state of threat, because it was a loss of stimulation because she was falling asleep on TikTok. So
Mhm.
the brain was now going through a wait a minute, where's my dopamine?
Yeah.
Where's my hit?
Yeah.
Where's the
Mhm.
attention?
Mhm.
So, and she's normally really good about it. She's, top in her class and, varsity athlete and she's
Congratulations
incredible.
to her.
And yeah, she's amazing. But, it was just a reminder of to be very aware of what these things can do to you mentally and physically.
Mhm.
So I said, look, kiddo, unless you're talking to your boyfriend, just give your brain a break. Just stop looking at it because she's a huge reader. I said, just get back in bed and don't sit in your bed and scroll through the social media 30 minutes before you want to go to sleep. Just give your brain a break and shut it down and just give that a shot for a little bit. So she's like, okay, Dad. So she's a very practical person. She's an athlete. I've been a competitive athlete most of my life, and it's all about cause and effect. So if you're not
Yeah.
getting the output you want, peel this back and let's go to, and this is really a big principle of 35K of where you're putting your focus, because that's where it all starts.
Mhm.
So, and social media is trying to own our attention, our focus. Well, what is the outcome of that? And there are 6 pillars of from focus to attention to outcome that drives all of this. And so being aware, you now begin to look at the correlation of what do I need to change and to get
Right.
the outcome I'm really looking for. So, but it's evolution. It's the responsibility that we have with these freedoms and these tools that can be great. They can be very helpful, but they can also be very damaging. And we need to be very self-aware and proactive with ourselves so that we don't become a victim to it. Because the depression, the anxiety, the suicide because of it, the lack of feeling a sense of purpose in life, it's all being driven because we're becoming so disconnected from the world in front of us to the world beyond us through our devices. Again, like you
Mhm.
said, the ability to make connections over the world is incredibly amazing. But at the same time, you're looking for validation from people you'll probably never meet, when the ones that actually love you, that are around you, that can really fulfill you, you're completely disconnected from.
Very true. Very
I
true.
mean,
It's the
you look at
plague of
you
social
go,
media.
you go to restaurants, an entire family are on their phones,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably
That's very
probably
true. That's
probably
very
DMing each
true.
other. Hey, what do you want? What do you want to eat? You're all on your phone. You know, so, like, for us, when we have dinners, TV goes off, phones go up. We sit down, we watch a movie, phones go up because we need to be connected. Me and my boys, we built a fire pit in the back, and that's where we could just sit by the fire and just play some music and just talk, just connect. Don't have our phones. Like if you're around people in life that really matter, when you pick up your phone, you are telling, in the midst of people around you, you're telling them they are less important than those on your phone.
Yeah.
And the psychological impact, even with my kids, that if we're talking, my phone goes out of reach. Because even the mere fact of having your phone right there and you see a notification or an Apple Watch and you get disconnected, the subconscious impact of the person next to you, that's telling them subconsciously they are not as important. And that's
Value
vital.
aspect, right.
And it's vital with children. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to be really mindful of that as parents. And even in a meeting, that if we're in a meeting, and I get it, you're busy, business owner, entrepreneur, leader, whatever. But if you're in a meeting, you have your phone right there, and every time it lights up, you look and you disconnect from the conversation, you just told your team member, your staff, they are not as important. So why would they want to contribute? Why would they want to be innovative? Why would they want to help you grow the company when you're telling them in this small micro action, they don't matter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, this is life in the detail of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening to us.
You know, and that goes back into, like you say, between the 2020, 2019 COVID effect, as I call it, where we had to social distance, we had to stay away from each other. And that's where TikTok, that's where those social
Yeah.
media platforms climbed,
Mhm.
gained such, because that was our input. And
Yeah.
then again, we built the habits. We spent months and months and months developing those relationships.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, just as you said, that is our dopamine. That is our effect.
Yeah.
Again, it is the attention seekers. It is the attention factor. It is the what's latest and greatest. When again, you're missing out on life rolling right by you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a double-edged sword by all means.
Mhm.
But just like with anything, as long as you are intelligent enough to wield that power,
Yeah.
it could do great things. You know, it
Yeah.
can touch so many people.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's all about the money and advertising. That's really what it is. If you really think about it, you know, it was back in the 90s, back in the 80s, of course, it was Friday night TV. It was the movies, the greatest actor. What could they, you know, think about, you know, the Super Bowl and how much money they spend on that 35-second ad. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the same principle, same thing. And that's,
Mhm.
again, that's why this is a $1 trillion industry,
Yeah.
you know?
But it
And,
did shift the power to the small business, because before the gatekeepers were the billion-dollar brands that had the big
oh,
budget.
yes, very
right?
much so. Yes, yes,
And,
yes.
and two, you know, they were able to put money into branding. The small business, if they did a TV commercial, they were all in. That was a big nut. They had to convert. So it was all about transaction, not about branding.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but now with these channels, it removed the gate of power to where a small business, a creator, can build a brand, because a brand is an emotional connection. That's what
Right.
it is.
Right.
You're using all these marketing tools, AKA communication tools, to effectively try to connect your core values, what you're here for, to people that align with that, and then create their own emotional definition of who you are and what you do. That's the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
All you need is your cell phone to do it. You don't need a production crew. And the matter of fact, the more organic and almost homespun it feels, the better it's going to do.
That's very true. That's very true. When you overproduce things, when you overdo it, just plain and simple, it's just that's what society is nowadays. They're not looking for the fake; they want that reality, and that's the other sad part too. Because what you said earlier, how we have disconnected from that reality. Now people are seeking it on their phones. You know what I mean? They
They
want
are.
that homegrown, that homespun thing because, you know, it got too big, it got too fake, it got too unreal,
Guilty.
and now people are going back into it. As again, people are building those brands up, and yeah, I mean, the mother of four, a single mother of four in Idaho is now making $3,000 a week doing lives, monetizing itself, and having a TikTok shop. You know what I mean? So again, but then you know you get back into the other young person online and is now devastated because some person in Alaska or Hawaii that, as you said, well, they'll never meet, they'll never truly connect with, is upsetting them. And next thing you know, you have emotional drama. You know.
Well, the danger is I've done, whenever I do interviews here in my studio. It's a sit down. I have done some of these, and then, brainstorming focus groups, have done them remotely. And there's a gap of energy that you are losing when you're not next to somebody.
Very true.
You know,
Yeah.
yes, we are connecting because we're thinking a little bit higher level. There's an intellectual connection here, but when you are in the same space with somebody, there is a different level of intimate connection energetically that you have, which, you know, COVID and with teams going remote, the thing that you missed was the collaboration of somebody that could hop into a meeting and drop a little nugget and completely change the entire project. Where you can't really do that via Zoom, right?
The energy just isn't there, you
It's
know.
not. And, you know, I ran a large ad agency for here in Houston, and, you know, that was one of the great things that I loved was pulling people in from other departments to get different perspectives on something. And you have the warmth, the heart, which I've championed heart marketing for many, many years, which is really more the authentic approach. And being remote, I was missing that connection, especially with guests. You know, my sit downs are going to be sometimes 2-3 hours because it's a conversation that I want to pull things out of people. It's like whenever I do a focus session with a company I'm going to do branding for, I need to get to know them and I need to feel the energy of them, the team, the culture, because that's what I'm going to try to connect the audience with ultimately. Right. But, you know, it's like you said, you know, we don't like overproduce because it feels salesy. Right. We look at something organically, you know, in our digital devices. We want it to look like what we're used to seeing with our friends and our family that we're swiping across. So the more relatable it feels, the more trustworthy it is. And if it feels more trustworthy, now we've removed the red flag. Now we've bridged the confidence gap. Now we're going to give more time and energy to it. That's why selfie mode does best.
Yeah. And again, then, you know, with those connections, then you have that loyalty group. Then you build that. Yeah. And then with so many creators, that's what the target point is. Because once you have that brand, their brand themselves, that loyalty base, it goes from there, you know. And then, you know, I go into different rooms, and these people that are not famous, these people are, like I say, the person from the cornfields of Iowa, you know what I mean? And they have 2,000-3,000 people watching them, glued to their screens, and they're making $20,000 a day. Yeah, you know. So once again, with every, you know, you do have to weigh the effects of humanity, and you know, surprisingly enough, this kind of popped in my head. I have not heard of any real studies been done yet. Maybe I haven't searched hard enough for them. But again, has there been any kind of professional studies done with the effects of social media, like TikTok and things like that? Well, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know?
So there's been 3 studies done in the past 6 months monitoring the effects of AI to the prefrontal cortex. And the cerebral cortex, the emotional center, the primal center, and then the logical center. The prefrontal cortex up front deals with logic, cognitive thinking. Your cerebral cortex is your emotional primal brain, your reptilian brain, the fight or flight survival mode. And the more that people have been relying on AI to ask it a question, give it a response, the capacity of the firing of the prefrontal cortex has shrunk nearly 37%.
Wow.
Because we're tragic. We're no longer thinking. We're just asking, and then, okay, we're not even thinking through it. We're just taking the answer as God. The effects of social media, there are a lot of different studies, but what they're finding is, again, the long-term effects that cocaine has on the human brain is the exact same effect that social media is having on the brain.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the addiction platform coming through. You know what I mean? The addiction, the degradation of life, the breaking of society, the shame, the hiding. You know, you can see all these things kind of transpiring.
Well, and you know, the part that is with this generation, where they've grown up with this device. You know, our generation, we grow up, come home when the street light comes on.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinking from the neighbor's water hose and building sketchy ramps and, you know, not wearing helmets and lighting ants on fire with a magnifying glass. We just lived differently, you know, and we're fine, ultimately.
Those didn't kill us. We're good.
But people feel like they're building a relationship digitally, and they're not.
No.
You are not able to build and connect with somebody two-dimensionally. You can relate to them, but you cannot connect to them. And so
Right.
that's why people are so glued to it, and they think they're connecting. They're not.
Right.
They're just getting the chemical reaction to it, and they're associating that because that's all they've been associating acceptance and validation to, and then the fear of rejection. It's giving them the signals, but it's not the same. So, I was talking to a guy last night. It's like, MD, as I'm going through these dating apps, I tell him, let's connect. I think we kind of gel. I like who you are. I like what you said, but I want to meet in person. He does not, because if you try to get into a chat or texting conversation, that's a false relationship.
Oh, very much so. Yes. Oh,
But
yeah.
people are thinking they're building these relationships via texting and chatting. But it's not like our great grandparents who wrote each other during the war for 2 years. Then he comes home and they get married. It was a different era, but people are having multiple conversations with multiple people all at the same time, thinking they're building these sustainable, deep, intimate relationships, and they're not.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a false reading that people are getting in their mind, and it's creating such depression at scale. And then they go back to these devices looking for somebody else they can connect with to fill that chemical void. So
The dopamine effect. Right.
it's wild to watch where we are in society, and to be our generation. I think Generation X are the ones that really, I think, are the saving grace. But I'm watching the Alpha generation, which is the ones coming out of this. My son, when he comes home, his shoes go off and his feet go in the dirt.
Right.
He doesn't want to watch TV. He wants to play outside, and I'm loving it. And so what do? Let's go outside. Let's go play.
Oh, yeah. Support that. Grow them. Develop that. Push that.
Let's go ride scooters. Let's go dig holes in the dirt with his little Matchbox cars. Like, let's go have fun. Let's chop a tree down. Let's go hammer nails in the fence. Let's go, do whatever. He loves it. Let's go run in the lake. I mean, in my older kids, my oldest son, he's a lineman, but he loves being outside.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he's 19. He does not like texting at all.
Wow. Okay.
Well, if I text my son, I'm not going to hear back from him until the weekend.
When he actually picks up the phone and pays attention to it. Right. Right. Yeah.
Hey, he's a
And
hard
that's
working
healthy
man.
though, but that's good.
Yes.
Because again, as you said, we come from the generation of, the first thing was the flip phone.
Yeah.
And with no texting, and the phone was a phone to get in contact with you because it made life a little bit more convenient because you didn't have to go check your messages at home.
Yeah.
But then that is such involved where, again, your banking, grocery store, your food, gas station, you know what I mean? Your friends, your entire life is wrapped up in that little box we're all using.
Honestly,
and they've designed it that way too.
Everything is about time, right? Time is
they
money.
say. Right.
However, as humans, I love going to the grocery store, walking the aisle, saying hi to people, picking up my own fruit. My life is not to the point that I would ever want to remove that, because if you slowly start automating all these things, you're going to be isolated. A person that is isolated is a person that's really succumbing to the cycle that happens up in your mind that you're no longer in control of. Because when you're outside, you get sunlight in the morning. That's going to help your body lower the cortisol naturally that wakes you up and puts you into kind of a fight or flight. That's why you get hot when you first wake up. That's cortisol. But what you need to do is get up and get some sunlight, drink some water, and allow your body to naturally lower that down so that you can come at the day way more in a controlled state where you're more, call it regulated or grounded. If you don't, you're going to be kind of spun out. Because when people get up and they look at their phone, they immediately go into a reactive state. That device is controlling their mental and emotional state right off the bat. Who texts me? Who didn't? Who emailed me? Oh my God, this thing's on fire. I didn't get anybody to like or comment on my post last night. Oh my God. You're now in reactive mode.
And that's kind of the day too. As you say, you're always now in that mode. Always got to look, always got to check for validation from other people from that heart. When realistically, it's nothing,
I when I changed my day, the first hour, this was about 6-7 years ago, I did not look at my phone the first hour. I get up, wash my face. I just breathe for a minute. I just woke up from a sleep. I need to allow my body a little bit of time. I'll go outside. If the weather's great, I'll sit outside, go for a little walk, bring the trash can back in, walk outside on the, outside barefoot for a little bit, drink my coffee after I have my water, and just allow my brain to get to kind of kick fire again. I may read a little bit. I may pray, meditate, but I just allow my body and my mind to slowly come back into the day. Then I take my shower. Then I'll start to look at, okay, because I designed my day the day before with my daily worksheet of how I built what I do. And now I know what's coming for today because I've planned it that way. And I've time blocked everything that's going to be a priority. And then that's how I operate. And it's allowed me to be way more present in my day. And when things occur that are beyond our control, which they always happen, resilience is really the ability to lessen the time of reactivity back to the normal state. That's resilience.
Right.
And my natural predisposition, the way that I grew up in a very abusive home, was very anxious and very reactive to things. And it would almost kind of spin me out and take over. So I had to learn how to get myself back into a more proactive state so that I could remain clear. It's called equanimity, the ability to remain calm in a state of duress. It's what they train Navy SEALs with and guys in special forces. Because when life happens and you get in a chaotic state, two things happen. Your prefrontal cortex, when you're in a state, when you're feeling threatened, your prefrontal cortex, your logical thinking goes completely dark. And then your emotional center takes over, which is why you'll do and say things you normally wouldn't do or say when you're in a regulated state. Because you're trying to mitigate the immediate threat, whatever that is. If it's a text from somebody or a car accident or somebody yelled at you or somebody said something negative to you on social media that really just hits you to the core, you're going to go into a reactive state, or you get into an argument with your spouse or something happens, right? Well, you're not going to make great long-term decisions by trying to mitigate something short-term that's threatening to you. And your brain is just not working that way. So how to help yourself through that. And that's where I've helped a lot of men really work through those things, because men these days are having a really hard time figuring out how to be a man.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. The society in itself has changed the definition so many times. It's confusing for the next generation coming up. And that's one thing I work with my son on, is to explain to him what the responsibilities are, and kind of that old school, what we are. Because again, it seems to change every few minutes around here lately,
that men, you look at what men have done and what men do. Men do it with other men. When men would go to war, they went with other men. When the tribal warriors went out together, it was a group of men. Building skyscrapers, building all the things that we've built has been men. And I'm not devaluing the power and the capacity and the impact of women. It's just very different. And what drives men to be men is the energy of other men. What has happened is men have become isolated. Yes. And that has completely emasculated the ability of men trying to think they have to figure it out all on their own. And it is forcing men to realize they can't do it all themselves. So now they begin to question their value and their impact. And
therefore, it says an avalanche of other emotions, other problems through that statement. And again, it really, as you say, it brings that value down. It brings in that depression, which then affects everything in a family setting, friend setting, or just the solidarity of it all. Then they jump onto a little black box, a social media app for validation. To I'm a man, so this is who I am. This is what I am. So then you start building as that avalanche. You start building those fake relationships. You start building those things. Then you have all those other emotions popping forth that really should be worked out in more of a civil matter. But no, I'm a man, so I'm going to be angry. I'm a man, I'm going to be abusive. I'm a man, I'm going to be trolling. Those people, because that empowers me, when really the empowerment was missed because of the isolation that you spoke about.
Yeah, that's one thing your channel talks about is help for men. What would you recommend for like a regular everyday dad? Like how can he make changes in his life or help make himself better?
The greatest way you'll ever make an impact in life is starting with yourself and finding a circle of 3 to 5 or 6 men that you share some core values. I'm blessed to have a circle of men around me that both encourage me, sharpen me. We hold each other accountable. We face things in life. We'll be supportive. We'll be there for each other. We celebrate our birthdays. We make intention in life in getting together and remaining communicative, because the 3 to 6 people you keep close are the most influential. That becomes your standard. And so because we become the average of the 3 to 6 that we keep closest, or those that we listen to the most, they're influencing what we believe is possible. And we're modeling those because we are humans that want to somewhat kind of be a chameleon to a degree, which is why, because that's our disposition as a human, because of our demand to really be a part of something, it's because you need to surround yourself with people that model or exude certain behaviors that you want to increase in yourself. You want to become a better dad. Look at somebody that you really feel like is a great dad, and look at how do they parent? What kind of man are they? What are some of the things that inspires me? And then get to know them, ask them questions, because that's a great kind of resource for you to impart wisdom. In my circle, it ranges from, 9-figure guys to guys that were special forces, guys that are, there's one guy that's 24, which extremely intelligent. And so I have this circle of men that over the years has just come together because I knew the kind of man I wanted to be. So then if that's the case, and these are the core values I really want to develop, then these are the kind of men I really want to be around. And slowly but surely, when you start to put that intention out there and you start to really develop those and learn about those things about yourself, knowing who you want to become, life is going to bring those men in your life that's going to allow that to happen. But it's also being around them. That for me, in my circle, these are men I get with. These are men I see on a consistent basis. And we're not just, we have a couple of text groups. But then if like somebody's going through a struggle, there's been studies that have been found. All you need is 8 to 12 minutes with somebody you trust to talk to be around, maybe not even talk about your struggle, but just say, hey man, I just really wanted to hear from you today. How you doing? What's been something that's been exciting about your life lately? Or, hey man, is there anything I can pray about for you? Mm-hmm. That one question, because when you ask somebody, how you doing? I'm okay. That's the natural response. Okay. And I do this with my kids. What is one thing I can lift up in prayer for you? It's funny how people will now open up a little bit.
Makes them think. It gets out of the canned answer.
Because now the person wants to help you, but not necessarily directly.
Right.
When you ask somebody, how you doing? There's a little bit of a fear there. I don't know if I want to tell somebody exactly what's going on. And men carry some heavy battles inside.
Yes.
There is not one man that is not suffering about something in their life, if not multiple things. It takes a minute because as men, we don't want to put our burden on other people. A, because we don't want to burden them. And B, there's still an element of pride of where we don't necessarily want to bring light to something we feel like we're weak at because we feel like we're doing something wrong.
And it gives us that vulnerability, and it makes us that target that nobody wants.
It's like, hey, bro.
Or ridicule.
Yeah, hey, bro. And I do this. I have learned in life that when you feel a tug to reach out to somebody, reach out to them. There's a reason. Hey, bro, you've been on my mind. And a lot of times I'll do a video, like I'll send them a video through text. Hey, dude, or a voice note. Hey, man, you've been on my mind. I don't know why. Maybe you do. But I wanted to reach out because, first of all, I love you. And I just want you to know that I've been thinking about you. And I'd love to catch up. Anyways, man, have a good one. I'm going to lift you up in prayer. Man, you have no idea. Or if it's like there's something on, like I feel like I want to share with a friend. I just wanted to tell them how proud I am of them or how much I appreciate the friendship. Every time, man, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. So that's part of what comes with that connection. So to answer your question, man, in any area of life that you really want to improve who you're around. And
That fact right there is, again, if you want to be a success, hang around successful people.
Mhm.
If you want to be uh, you want to be a great athlete, hang out with great athletes.
Mhm.
They will set your mind to move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you may not be physically capable, but mentally, you know what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Where the people around you, if I want to know you, I look at your friends. That will
Mhm.
tell me. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Again, the stockbroker on Wall Street does not hang around a criminal effect. You know what I mean? Well, sometimes they're the same, but we're gonna leave that alone. That's a different topic, you know. But you know what I'm saying, and
Jordan
and and
Belfort.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that, but that's so critical, and that's where so many people, so many books I've read, so many very intelligent people is number one. Don't take advice from people that are not doing better than you. Number one,
Mhm.
everybody criticizes you, and everyone's going to be jealous and everything else. But again, look around you, and that will dictate you. So if you
Yeah.
don't like your position in life, change who you're hanging around with, because those people, as you say and pointed out so many times, influence you. They direct your life, whether you know it or don't know. Because again, we are a herd animal in a
Mhm.
sense. You know, we like the pact effect. We like the security of the pact. We like, sometimes we lead, sometimes they lead. Sometimes I need a break from leading the group. Let someone else take over. And again, we've developed the word friendship and loyalty out of those too. One thing though, I will say that I'm going to take away from this is what you said. We've criticized our wonderful social media. We have criticized the relationship that the little black box has dictated in society. And even though what you just said about, if you know a friend, you want to connect, it's not a text. It's not that generic. I love that voice message. I love that video message because that gives that personality. That gives that you hear the tone of the voice. You see you see the life in your eyes when you send this video. I will walk away today with that. That is such an inspirational, such a great thing because you still have the technology of
Mhm.
you're an hour away from me, you're 2 hours away, but we can still have that fundamental connect where it's a little bit past that two dimension. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's a great tip for
In my
life. I
brotherhood,
do. I enjoy
every
that.
Monday, I send one of my brothers a video.
Hmm.
Every Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, in the days of texting and of this remoteness, that really brings a connection that
Mhm.
not exactly. I'm knocking on your door with a 6 pack and a cup of coffee, but it's still much better. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Send, emoji. You know what I
But
mean?
I want to reinforce though that these are relationships that have been built in person.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
We've
support factor.
used,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like one of my really good friends, Chad Prather, he wrote this book. Matter of fact, hold on, I got it right here. Chad is an amazing man, and he ran for governor here in Texas. He's actually a
Hmm.
comedian, um, but he wrote a book, Born for Meaning, and it brought me to tears because I know Chad's story, and I know what's been happening in his life, and just to hear, knowing the heart behind this, man, it brought me to tears, man. So because I'm always going to support my friends, whatever you do, whatever you sell, I'm always going to support it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to promote it. But I had to send him a message to let him know how impactful this book was,
Hmm.
as his friend, and how much I could feel the heart that he put into this thing, because every man, like when you hear somebody be very honest, that's what you connect with. And in social
Yeah.
media, when I see so many people trying to figure out how to latch onto a trend, and you can't really figure out who they are, what they're about. And we evolve as people, but when you want to create or when you want to be a person of impact, don't worry about trying to reach 30 million people. Try to just impact the one that needs to hear your message.
Very true. Very true. The
That's good. Yeah.
genuineness, the organicness that we
Mm-hmm.
spoke about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
how to be a good creator is, how to be an influencer. Again, yeah, you can make money at it. You can be a job at it. You can do things, but more importantly, as society, who can you impact?
Yeah.
Truth in words right there.
I mean,
Because again, that's
look,
what we miss in today's life.
well, and I think that's where a lot of creators get. I'm in a podcasting group here in Houston, and I see all the time, hey, I've decided to reformat my podcast. Bro, you're only 6 episodes in. Give it 50.
Right. Right.
You haven't even
You
found
gotta
your
let it
voice
work.
yet. Well, you know, and everybody are looking at, you know, these top influencers and podcasters and content creators. They're comparing their day one to that person's day 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
looking at the
Very much
production value. They're looking at the quality. They're looking at even the refined articulation. That comes with time. So rather than looking at your day one and their day 1,000, go look at Joe Rogan's day one.
Yeah.
Let's compare
Good
apples
point.
to
Yeah.
apples.
You want
So
to
that
see
you
something
have
funny? There it is.
so that you have a very realistic view of where you are. And if you get 5 people to view your video that you don't know, your video just reached 5 people you don't know.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
whatever you put out today is going to still be out there 6 months and a year from now. And what you put out today could be the very thing they needed to hear a year from now.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
helps them,
Yep.
that empowers them, that entertains them, provides some level of value. And on the stages I've spoken at over the years, and there might be thousands of people there, I've learned based on how people afterwards will be like, man, you have no idea that I feel like I was here to hear what you had to say, because that's exactly what I needed. Then you are why I needed to be here.
Wow.
That's it.
So how does it make you feel when you hear that you made that kind of an impact in someone's life?
Humbled.
I like that.
Humbled because, you know, I am a, you know, look, I'm a dad first. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a man that has learned my lessons the hard way every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been through just about every season a man could go through. You know,
Couple times.
I was abused growing up, 3 marriages, just wins and losses as an athlete, in business, and all of it shaped how I've shown up today. You know, and but I'm a student of life, and I'm a student of myself, but I have a natural desire to want to help other people. I didn't really have people teaching me, like a competitive cyclist and triathlete. I had to teach myself how to be competitive. But I was not genetically predispositioned to be successful at it. And I became very successful at those sports. Marketing, self-taught. Business, self-taught. Public speaking, self-taught. Photography, self-taught. I had a lot of influences along the way, but I was also open to being influenced because I wanted to learn. And having somewhat of an underdog temperament, I knew that if I really wanted to I wanted to master whatever I really wanted to put myself to. When I wanted to master myself, I needed to understand myself and be humble enough to be open to, okay, what's the common thread? If I've been married, divorced 3 times, I'm the common thread. What's going on?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's certainly not the ideal plan I had for myself, right? So that kind of really is where this all started for me. As a matter of fact, 35K began November 5th of 2010, so just over 15 years ago. And it was the blueprint that really laid the foundation of where I am today, because it started with 2 words: I decide. Binary. Everything I choose to do. And that's our greatest power is choice. Even in the Bible, God said, choose life or death, but choose life. Let me just encourage you which direction to go. But you still have a decision, you're still empowered. So as I started to look at cause and effect. I was in college to be a forensic pathologist, cause and effect. I didn't make it. I couldn't handle autopsies. So
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. Yeah.
but in business, in studying human behavior and marketing and branding, that's exactly what I do. I reverse engineer everything. Why is it not working? Let me
Take
pull
it apart. Right.
Let me pull it apart. Well, I've pulled myself apart over the years, but I decide was the very beginning of that. Because I needed to take ownership of my decisions. So this is where 35K really became the thing for me. When I came across 3 studies back in 2015 that said as adults, we average 35,000 decisions a day, from the micro, little, automatic, habitual ones to the big intentional ones of job, home, relationship, right or left, whatever. Okay. So if we're making 35,000 decisions, every decision is going to have an action or reaction.
Right.
And every action or reaction has a result. Okay. Well, I'm making decisions that produce an action that make an outcome that I don't like. So everybody wants to, I just need to just, make better decisions. Okay. How?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you
How?
start? Where do you get started at?
Because if somebody, I'm going to start eating better. Okay. But they don't continue with it. Why? Why did they start making better decisions, but they fell back into old patterns and decisions that didn't serve the outcomes they want? It wasn't aligned. So I'm going, okay, then where does a decision come from? So if outcomes are a result of actions and reactions, if actions and reactions are a result of a decision, and we're making 35,000 a day, what is influencing our decision? And that is our belief system, what we believe we can or cannot do. Okay.
Right.
Well, then where does our belief come from? A belief is something that you have repeated enough times in your thoughts that you believe to be true or untrue. Well, as
True.
adults, we average anywhere from 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. What's going on up here in the mind? And we average anywhere from 300 to 500,000 impressions of everything we see, from a letter to a color to a corner to a sticker to a sign to a video, everything. That's an impression. Okay, well, I needed to look at our thought process. What's happening up here in our brain when it comes to thoughts? 80% of our brain, or 80% of our thoughts, of those 60 to 80,000, are rooted in a negative experience, a disappointment, a failure, something that was triggering, disappointing, a loss, something that happened that you didn't like, everything. Well, if 80% of our thoughts are rooted in a negative experience, and then I found another study that 90% of our thoughts are a repeat of yesterday, it's no wonder we don't believe we can do what we want to do. It's no wonder that we really step into these cycles of worst case scenarios. It's no wonder we don't really create a life that is really fulfilling enough to become the life that we really want to live. So if that's the case, if our thoughts and repeated thoughts are really what's forming our belief system, then what is really controlling our thoughts? And this was the one thing that for me changed it all. I realized it was where we put our focus.
Okay.
When we're thinking about our past, when we're putting our focus on what happened to us or what didn't happen to us, what they said, what they didn't say, what they did, what they didn't do, all of these things. Well, our focus is the one thing that we can control. We just haven't been. We put ourselves in the co-pilot seat and allowed life and the currents of life to dictate it. So what we're listening to, what we're watching, and who we're around, that's where we put our focus. So I think of like hunting. If you are going out for the prize elk, you've got the most amazing rifle with the most expensive scope, but your elk is here, but your focus is over here. It doesn't matter how great your tools are. If they're not aligned, you're never going to get there, which is why who you're around is so critical, which is why what you listen to is so critical, which is why where you put your focus and what you decide to ruminate on repeatedly is going to ultimately create the outcomes in your life. And so if there are things in life that you really do not want, it comes down to focus, because once you change your focus, every time you have a negative thought, you have a worst case scenario thinking. Okay, well, worst case scenario thinking is all hypothetical, which means in 98% of the things you think are going to happen, worst case scenario, don't happen. Okay, if that's the case and really hypotheticals are 50-50, well, then I'm going to put some attention and focus onto worst case or best case scenarios, because there's a chance that the worst case could happen. There's also a chance best case could happen. So I'm gonna now write down and list the best case scenario. Now, it's not natural to do this, though. We are naturally engineered to be worst case scenario thinkers because it's our primal brain trying to protect ourselves from threat.
Correct. Right.
The saber-toothed tiger, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't have a saber-toothed tiger trying to eat us right now. But we do have all of these things in life trying to destroy us. So it demands, and this is it's very challenging to do, but if we're coming up on New Year's, and if you really want to lose those 30 pounds, or you want to save the $5,000, or you want to pay off a credit card, okay, here's the big vision. Here's the goal. Okay, what do I need to make that goal happen? If I need to lose 30 pounds, okay, I know what I need to do. I need to start eating better, and I need to start being more active. Okay, where do I start? Most people don't start because the first step is not small enough, and they're not giving themselves steps along the way so that they feel progress. And this is something I learned as a triathlete when I was doing Ironman. That finish line was so far away, it might as well have not even existed. Because when I was in the pain and suffering of the moment, when my body had hit the wall and I still had that long run to go, man, the pain, if I focused on that pain, I was going to quit. But my goal was to cross that finish line. Okay, then I need something to give me fuel and motivation, and I need to feel I'm making progress. Because right now, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere because that finish line is a mirage, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we take life. Okay, you know what? As slow as I was shuffling, and I was literally a 90-year-old man with a walker could go faster than I was at that moment.
Right.
My nipples were bleeding. My shoes were pink because of the blood from my heels. Like, it was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I could see getting closer? That mailbox in front of that house.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
5
Now
more
that-
steps, I'm there. And then
Yes.
5 more steps, I'm there. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it all adds up and you cross the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I look at life in mailboxes because, again, I need my steps to be small enough that gives me the reminder and that I can tell that I'm making progress. Because as soon as I got to that mailbox, good job, MD. I know you want to quit, and I know this sucks, but let's go to the next mailbox.
Yeah, one more.
But you
One
also
more.
have to make sure that that mailbox is aligned with the finish line. Because if I was so tunnel vision on the mailbox, I may have taken a wrong turn down a street that was not on the race path.
Because you
Right.
lost focus of you changed your focus from your finish
Yes.
line to your
Yeah.
mailbox. Your short-term goals instead of your long-term achievement that you want,
Yes.
you focus here, negative or positive. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But that's where you lose that focus at. So I like that. Small steps. Keep your eye on what you want. Keep your eye on the big picture. But
Yeah.
leave enough vision for your small steps to keep you
Mhm.
motivated in motion. And that's very critical too, because with content creators and with people nowadays, they, as you said earlier, they see the people that are huge, that are massive. They don't realize day one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they want the focus. They want this. That's their vision. They lose that focus line. They lose their mailboxes. Day
Mhm.
1, day 2, day 3. You know what I mean? They expect day 1, I'm super famous, 55,000 people, so on and so forth, watching me, and I'm a millionaire. Not realizing the mailboxes. I like that. I like that a lot. Put that on a business card.
To get back to your question of how do you really, if you want to be a better dad or a better man, it comes down to doing two things. You ever heard the term people working in the business versus on the business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
because working in the business, you're caught in the weeds. You're not really thinking about the long-term vision of working on the business, right? And that's where a lot of small business owners get stuck. You get stuck working in the business. Well, this is where we get stuck as people. We get stuck working in ourselves versus on ourselves. And the difference is working in ourselves is dealing with, I'm feeling very anxious right now and I need to help myself calm down. That's in yourself. Working on yourself, why do I get anxious every time this happens?
Cause and effect.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Why have I now been married and divorced three times?
Cause and effect.
Right?
What causes it? This is the effect thereof. How do you change it? Yeah.
So when you begin to work on yourself, you're now going from what I call point of view in the weeds to the 30,000 foot view. You now begin to look at the battlefield versus being stuck in the battle in the trench.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you begin because why am I doing all this work? Or why am I just sitting here couch locked? Why am I just doom scrolling every night? Okay, you can put the phone down. Okay, now you're working in yourself. Working on yourself is, why do I always feel the need to pick up that phone in the first place? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What does that succeed? What does that fulfill? What
Yes.
does that lack? What are you trying to invoke? You're trying to get that dopamine effect, as you say, that the thrill of it all.
Mm-hmm.
What is missing?
Mm-hmm.
because you're not working on yourself, like you say. You're working, and that's very deep, very deep.
If we are naturally predispositioned, I mean, and even audit yourself. When I catch myself all the time, I'll be watching a show and then I'll pick up my phone. Why? I didn't get a notification.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing I wanted to pick up my phone, so I was looking for a short dopamine hit. So you know what I do? I walk outside, or I'll do a few push-ups, or I'll go get a glass of water, or I'll make a cup of coffee of my favorite coffee. I reassociate what I'm looking for. What really makes me feel good?
Okay,
Getting
right.
outside.
Breaking the cycle of it all too.
You know what also makes me feel good is when I do a few push-ups and I feel my chest kind of blow up a little bit. Yeah. Feel like a man, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to go get the 50-pound sandbag. I'm going to do a few like ridiculous squat thrust burpee things, right? Just to cause I can, cause it feels good, man.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to go, I could pick up my phone and watch a couple of videos, but you know what I really want? I'm going to go sit outside and smoke me a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to go call a buddy. I'm going to go have cigars. Let's go have some tequila. Right. Because that's what really gives me the fuel. So, and it takes a minute, but when you begin to rewire up here what you really want, because you don't really want the short-term cocaine snort. You really don't, because it makes you feel worse. Right?
Yeah, when it falls off, yeah.
Because if you go raid the pantry and, oh my, like I'm chips and salsa, man, I'll go ham, but man, I feel like crap afterwards. Why? Because I know it really wasn't fulfilling me.
Right.
So what does fulfill me? A good steak that I had to cook. I had to put some work in it. So when you have to actually earn a little bit, put a little bit of effort into that reward, that's the one you actually want. So get rid of the short-term cocaine hit. Get rid of the snacks. Have the steak. Right? Sit with some buddies, have a cigar. Have meaning behind what you're doing. Have meaning in what you're creating. Right. One of your questions that I read was, what inspires my content, right? What I'm going through, what I'm researching, a conversation I had with a friend and put me in deep thought. I'm not looking at trends, because there are so many people going through the very things that I'm facing or the very things my friend is going through. And when I sit back and I really kind of think through it and I'm thinking about how that could really help me or what I really learned, I want to share this. Or a prayer, because a lot of people struggle even in prayer.
Oh yeah.
Right. I don't know about you guys. I've been a Christian since I was a kid. My walk with God has been a very interesting one. But one of the things that I have with myself is I have a relationship, and the way that I talk to God is like I talk to you guys. God, dude, I am struggling today, man. And this is what I'm struggling with. And I don't know what to do with this. Other people feel like to even pray to God, they need to put some time and distance between some sin. They need to kind of wash up and put on their best shirt and go, okay, Heavenly Father, omnipotent one, Alpha, Omega, I'm coming to you. And then they kind of don't know what to even pray for. God said, cast your cares on me. Tell me what your needs are. Come to me.
Yeah.
But he sent Christ to die for us, not because we were perfect and polished and perfect and had the nice suit on and we did everything right. He sent Christ because we were sinners, which means he already knows all your dark stuff, man. So just come to me, tell me. Right.
And that's one of the things too, as society itself, because that's what we've been dictated, sitting on the pews every Sunday morning, the formalized of religion, the formalization of church. And again, same cause and effect. People get into that for the dopamine effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the problem with that is it breaks out the true spiritual relationship that they can have.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I always come with the attitude of gratefulness. That's my daily is to thank God for my breath. Thank God for this day. Thank God for my health. Thank God for the people around me. You know what I mean? And I always find that my needs, God knows my heart, they're fulfilled. You know what I mean? And that's another thing where people nowadays are such, what's the word I'm looking for? Instantaneous. They need that instant effect. You know what I mean? And they don't realize that everything happens in a time and everything happens for a reason. So those 3 divorces that you went through and you struggled and you were in pain, you came out a better person because of that. The cause and effect. You were able to recognize, okay, this horrible event, this person that a very emotional effect happened, and it didn't work out, but there's pain, there's trauma there from a divorce. Never
Mhm.
been through one, I will admit, but I know they're very dramatic and bad.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
point is, at the end of the, well, they also can be healthy too, but
Mhm.
also at the end of the day, what is the cause and effect? You know what I mean? If this happened, now what am I going to take away from it to make
Yeah.
myself better?
Right.
And that's where I think we kind of vibe on the same wavelength. You do word it better than I do, so good. But
One of the greatest realizations that I think anybody can ever have to again help them shift their focus from a victim state of why is this happening to me? Poor me. I'm just not destined for love, or man, I guess I'm just a mistake. I'm worthless. We get into this shame spiral, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
It's because our focus is it's a little off track. So rather than saying, why did this happen to me? Which is what we naturally do. What is this teaching me?
Exactly. Why is this happening? What is the outcome? Where am I going to be? Why? Why is this happening? Not so much of playing the victim point, but there's a reason why everything happens in life. You just got to be smart enough to figure it out, and it puts you in a position. Think about it. If the things that happened to you in life didn't happen, where would you be?
Mm-hmm.
Think of anything. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? I got into a car accident. Okay, well, why did that happen? What was the outcome? What was the reason why? It humbles you too in those points. At least in my mind, in my life, that's how I look at it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Why did it happen? What was the outcome of it? And where did it put me? And for what reason? You know?
Human nature, we walk around thinking the world is out to get us, which is
Yes.
why, when you're driving down the highway, somebody cuts you off, you get enraged,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It was done on purpose. Yeah, exactly.
How dare you cut me off on the highway? Well, here's the thing. Maybe that person is late for their first day at work, or maybe that person's about to shit their pants. Like
Yeah.
you have no
You
idea.
never know.
But that total stranger did not get up and go, I'm going to get on the highway and there's going to be this guy in this white pickup truck that I'm going to cut off.
Yes, that's my agenda for today.
That does not happen. You got to, this is the empathetic viewpoint of realizing everybody is suffering through something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the adage goes, out of the mouth, the heart speaks. So if somebody cutting you off on the highway enrages you, that means that there is something going on inside of you that you feel as though you have lost control in a relationship with somebody and you're taking it out on this stranger. You've just been holding it in.
Yeah, I can see the correlation there.
Because as humans, when we have, and I see this happen when people lose a job or they're losing a relationship, when you've lost control in an area of life, you're going to demand it in another.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be, let's say you get out of the relationship, guys, we start to work out because we can
True.
control that.
Right.
When you feel like you've lost control of your money, maybe you lost your job, you are going to do two things. One, get really tight or go blow it on some stuff, because even though you might have lost your job, you still don't want to feel like you lost the power of your own money.
Right. And you want that dopamine effect. You want that.
Because we still want to feel like we have control in some way. Other ways, it might be you try to control some people in your life. And I see this in the workplace, where if somebody in an influential position of leadership is now all of a sudden been criticized or held to the gun, they take it out on the people that they're influencing, they're leading, by really, harping down on them, because now shit rolls downhill with them, right? Well, they're going to be hard on me, I'm going to be hard on you. You've now lost the role of a leader.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you're trying to exude control, which that's not the real role of being in a position of influence and leadership. Your role is to coach and inspire them to really reach for more than they've ever thought possible within themselves.
Guide and direct.
Your role is to be a coach, not to be a dictator, right? Mm-hmm. But because of human nature, so it's not to say that you're impervious to human nature, you're human. It's, again, be able to recognize it and know it's happening and go, okay, the CEO just called me out on some stuff that I knew that I was doing, but I didn't want anybody to see it. My human nature is going to want to now come and harp on my people and start running through them with a fine tooth comb, because if it's going to happen to me, it's going to happen to them. No, I didn't like it because I knew what I was doing. I was not showing up 100%. I just don't like being called out. I need to own it.
Yeah. Take responsibility.
That is being self-aware enough to be able to take the humility and then pass that along, right? Versus passing along the reactive state, right? And then there's a book by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership. If you're familiar with the book, and Navy SEAL, he was in a lot of missions that went sideways. Ramadi was one of them. But there was a mission that went south, and it was because some of the guys didn't execute according to what they needed to. And he was standing there and he goes, what I realized in that moment was there were a lot of things that were not my fault. But as their commanding officer, it is my responsibility. So where did I fall short in coaching and training that led to that behavior in my guy? Mm-hmm. That's leadership. Owning your role in the outcome. Well, owning your role in the outcome of life. Now, my therapist called me out one day years ago, and he was like, look, MD, I know your I decide thing and you own everything, but be careful, because there's a lot of things you can't own. You can't own other people's decisions of how they show up to you, but you can own your reaction to them.
Yeah.
Right? Which allows you to then stay in a place of humility. This, as it says, hurt people hurt people. Not all hurt people, but if somebody is coming at you and they're angry, they're lashing out, or they're being condescending, it's because they're truly hurting inside. And that was I think it was one of your questions of how do you deal with like negative comments? I love them in content and in the chats and comments, because it tells me this person, if this person's going to want to throw such negative shade against a stranger who's just trying to do good, that tells me you are suffering. And I feel bad for them. But I always tell them, you know what? I appreciate your input, but I can tell you're struggling inside if you are in a place in life that you want to criticize somebody you don't even know. You didn't even ask me a question of what brought me to the place to even share this. You're just defensive.
And that's one thing. It diffuses that negative attitude, and it diffuses them. And maybe again, through that comment, they will also maybe realize what's going on, or again, hopefully that changes it up. It's not just another negative, a hurt, reacting to a hurt, but hopefully that statement, as you said, which is a really great point, and a really, really great point, because so many people are defensive. So many people are reactive because you didn't do this, I put all this work in, and all you do is criticize me, but not realizing you're right. They're coming from a post that they did, or a fight, or whatever situation. Or again, maybe they're just miserable people, and this is how they get their dopamine effect. They get their joy. I hate to say it like that.
Yeah.
But by diffusing that instantaneously, it takes all the wind out of the sail. It means so, and again, you can also impact their life through that kind of a statement too.
Yes.
So you take a negative and turn it into a positive by that simple statement. I love that.
I'm not taking it personal.
Yeah.
And two, when you're as content creators, and I'll encourage all of them with this, is when you put your heart and soul into something, you're naturally are going to, you want people to support what you're doing. I get it. But if you're looking for strangers to validate your effort, that means you've given up control to your vision, to people that don't even know you or your vision yet. So if somebody's going to criticize you, be open to it, because maybe there is a grain of truth to it, but you're so insecure because you're doing something new. You're stepping into unknown territory for yourself, and maybe you've never put yourself out there like this before. Okay. Well, if somebody criticizes it, that's okay. They don't even know you. So there's
don't
no
get your
bearing
word
the
from
weight to it.
strangers. Yeah, don't get your word from those strange people you don't know. But so many people do that. So many people, they spend hours practicing this or doing that or doing makeup or hair or whatever, and then people come in and they just tear it down, and then just an emotional wave kicks into that creator, kicks into that person, because they validate that person so much that they've never even met. I've never been able to figure that out. I mean, there's a difference between if I go to a restaurant, it's a horrible restaurant, hey guys, step up your game, you know what I mean, do better. As a business owner, I would take that as, okay, we are definitely got something wrong. Here's some outside criticism. opposed to somebody saying, "Oh, I didn't like your hair today." Oh my goodness, my world is now collapsed, and I'm gonna get offline. I'm done streaming because they lose their focus. They
Yeah.
put their focus now on the little guy. They take off of the goal to the mailbox, and they give that mailbox such validation
Hmm.
of they didn't like my hair, so I'm worthless now.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. You don't even know this person. You'll never hear from again. Why are you giving them such power?
Well,
Why?
okay. So that question, why, is because they have lost connection with people in their own life, and they have a distrust with those people. They're afraid. So they've given
Cause and effect. Yep. Yep.
they're
Yep.
seeking
Yeah.
validation from strangers because they've lost that validation from people that that are actually in their life.
Because they disconnected so much. That's so deep. That is so deep. There's so many. We ask these questions all the time. We get so many different responses. But I will say this, with all due respect to everyone, there is such a deep level that people viewing this need to stop and replay this 5 times and really understand this entire interview. I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
get exactly what you're saying. And you've opened up so many other options and opinions. And it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And that's where, like I say, people need to replay this a couple times because
Well,
there's so much wisdom and truth in what you're saying. It really is, you know.
I heard Jordan Peterson say this, and it was very profound. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
Yes.
Vaguely,
Okay.
yes.
He's a psychiatrist from Toronto, and he's truly one of the greatest philosophers of our current time. And he said, to be a true thinker and a real intellectual, you have to be open enough to consider all other opinions to the point that you would be able to consider their position enough that you might be willing to move your own. Most people are too afraid to do that because they're so insecure. They know they don't know enough. They know that they haven't put in the work to research, to understand even just a little bit, because most people are a mile wide and an inch deep on any given subject,
Very true.
on anything,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
themselves, which is why they're
Yep.
stuck in this reactive state that is completely dependent upon the world around them. It's like if you were in a boat out in the ocean and you have your mast, but your sail's not out and your rudder's out of the water and you're wanting to go to this island over here, but the currents are taking you here. That's because you've allowed the currents of the world around you to dictate where you're going to end up, when
Mm-hmm.
the power of where you're going to go is going to be based on getting your sail out there and your rudder in the water. But what is the sail and your rudder? It's your focus and it's your choices.
Yeah.
Now, when you get your sail up and you get your rudder in the water, what's going to happen? It's going to be hard. You're going to
fighting
get
the current.
resistance. You're going to be
That's right.
fighting the current
Yep.
because the current is strong. The current in the world is strong. But if you allow the current to dictate your outcomes, you're always going to be frustrated, resentful, and depressed because it's empty. You're being directed by the masses. You as an individual has a divine purpose, and the version that you are destined to be demands that every single day you put your focus on the outcomes of that person of destiny, and know that it's going to demand, it's going to dictate, you're going to have to face resistance. Because if not, you're always going to be dissatisfied. Why didn't it happen for me? That person got so lucky. What about, them and them and them? What about me?
Right.
You've had the boat, you have the sail, you have the rudder, you just haven't used them because you've been afraid of the resistance and the effort that it's going to take. Because
And that's a conscious choice too that you make. Getting back to that, that's a conscious choice.
But again, yes, it sounds big when I say this. Okay. Which is what normally keeps people from doing anything, because your first step is not small enough. If you want to save $1,000 in your checking account or your savings account, okay, how long realistically do you think it will take you to save $1,000? Okay, it's going to take me 6 months. Okay, then break that up into 6 months. Every 6 months, I need to save X amount. Again, creating a mailbox. Now break that down per week. Okay, each week I'm going to put this in my savings account each week without fail. Well, in 6 months, you have $1,000, right? Now it's long term, So if you're looking for the dopamine of the accomplishment, then when you put that money in your savings account every single week, good job, MD. I'm so proud of you, because the old version of you wouldn't have done that.
Right.
You would have just spent it on something. You would have spent it on a coffee or some shoes, something to give you a short-term feeling of power and dopamine. But you're sticking to the bigger goal. I'm proud of you. And you literally tell yourself that. Even high five yourself in the mirror when you do it. Because when have you ever high fived somebody and you felt bad? You don't. Right? There was a study done of the most winning basketball teams over the course of 5 seasons. You know what they found? The top 4 teams that ended up in the finals and won were the teams that high fived each other the most throughout the season.
But you know, one thing too is that point of congratulations, that point of teamwork, that point of acknowledgement, that point. There's so many things in that where, yeah, it's a simple gesture, but when you really break it down, it is so deep. And again, you're right. I've never, like, you know, good job, high five, and then it's like I felt bad receiving it. It's like, oh, I don't feel worthless, you know. So yeah, that's very interesting. I like that.
Look, as an athlete, I lost way more than I ever won anything. As a cyclist, triathlete, mountain biking, and running, lost way more. Does that mean that I'm a loser?
Of course
No,
not.
because I did win. You don't win very often. Why? The win doesn't taste as good unless you've lost. Why would you win?
Great appreciation, right?
Why would you even put the work in to try to become first place over everybody else, than the work and the sacrifice and the discipline that it took? And to be able to lose. And look, I lost again. The greatest prize fighters get knocked down. But you know what they do? They take the full 8 seconds to catch their breath and collect themselves and realize, I got knocked down. Yeah, because I'm fighting. I'm in the ring. How audacious do I have to be to think that if I want to really create something in life that is incredible and that I would be proud of, that it would be an easy path? There's a level that we kind of hope it'll be easy, but it's always going to be twice as hard, and it's going to take 10 times as long. That is the reality of any venture, whether it be anything in life, especially in business. Okay, well, if I want to do an Ironman race, that is a huge undertaking.
That's not something you just jump off the couch and do. That's for sure.
It took me 3-4 years of training to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right, and to do it competitively, not just to do it. So I share this because we struggle with really giving ourselves credit that, yes, you've lost a lot in life. You've tried a lot of things. Maybe you've tried a lot of different businesses, or tried a lot of different podcasts, or tried all these different things, and nothing ever worked. Okay, well, it may not have been, it may not have got you the trophy, but what did you learn from it? A guy named Blair Sinclair, we were both speaking at a business conference, and he wrote the book, what was it called? Sales Dogs. And he said, you know, it took the first 14 businesses to fail to teach me how to make the 15th work right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Thomas Edison, 1,500 attempts at the commercial light bulb before he actually got the one that worked.
And what did he say? Why did you fail so much? He's like, I didn't. I just found 1,500 ways not to do it.
Now, most people, after the first 5-10 attempts, maybe
it'll never work. Yep.
Yeah.
Just go get a real job. Right? Because they're looking at you through their goggles of their own life and their failed attempts. They don't know your vision. They don't know the dream you've been waking up with to really give this a shot. Because if there's something in you and it keeps eating at you, and it's the thing that probably kind of scares you a little bit, that's a gift that was given to you. That is your vision. So stop asking people that have not been given your vision if it's the vision for you.
To validate it.
Yes.
To justify it. Yeah.
Because you're not going to know how to do it all. You're not. But there is this level of thinking, just because you start maybe a business, that you're supposed to know everything of how to not only run, but also build a business. No, you're going to figure it out. That's the path of discovery, right? You at least know where you want to go. Give yourself the grace. This is going to be, and anything in life, especially business and entrepreneurship, is really a journey about self-discovery. But anything that you choose to do that is outside of your comfort zone is now about a journey of self-discovery. It's really not about the thing. Climbing Everest is not really about climbing Everest. It's really about the journey of who you had to become to get there. Right? And even Everest itself is not a linear journey. When you finally go from Kathmandu to Base Camp 1, you got to hang out at Base Camp 1 for a few days and acclimate. Then you're going to take the trek to base camp 2, stay to base camp 2 for a few days, acclimate, then come back down to base camp 1. That's why it takes about 75 days to go from base camp 1 to the top of Everest. It's a back and forth. It's messy, right? And every year they've got to rechart the path because the ice is shifting.
Right.
So the path that you're going to take is not the path the other people take. But understand, it's not really about getting to the top. It's really about who you've had to become, because the person that is operating and running maybe the podcast that you envision of creating is not the version of who you are today running it. Joe Rogan today is not the Joe Rogan from day one. I've watched those day ones. That's a very different guy, man. Right? He evolved with it. It grew as he grew. It became more intelligent as he became more curious. Right? So whatever it is that you're looking at creating, understand you're going to lose way more than you win. But that's the journey of it. That's where you're learning, because the losses are not proof that you're incapable. The losses are the lessons to teach you, to show you that you are.
Yeah.
And that's one of but because in our society, we've been trying to remove failure from the experience and everybody's a winner and give everybody a trophy.
Yeah, everyone gets the ribbon.
So what I do is, when people are afraid, because we're not taught failure correctly growing up. We're taught that if we fail in class, then we're a failure, and it means we're dumb, we're stupid, and we're going to be criticized and ostracized and even punished by our parents because we failed. Well, what if I failed English because I'm a painter? But now you're going to make me feel like I'm worth nothing because I can't craft a paragraph, but I can paint? The world is wrong, right? So we're not taught that failure is actually part of the process. And if you're failing because you're trying, good for you.
You're not failing.
Raising my kids, I have never really put merit into the win. When they win, I love it. But I always acknowledge and reward the effort, the stick-to-itiveness, the figure-outableness, the character, not the result. My son, playing basketball, wasn't the greatest player. But you know what the thing that was always amazing about him? This happened all the time. There would be a collision on the court. He was the one that would go over and help that other kid up. He was. The character in my son.
Right.
Buddy, it wasn't your greatest game. But dude, you know what I really loved, bro? And I would go over the top because I wanted him to be conditioned as a child that pride and accomplishment is in character, not in performance. Because if I was raising my kids that performance is the only thing that gave them value, they're going to be in this life of everything that only the wins are going to come from a billion views. Only wins are going to come when I'm making $1 million a year. And then when you get the $1 million a year or the 1 million views, then what?
Yeah.
There's no satisfaction in that,
So the substance of really what you're doing in anything in life or in a content creator is the impact you're making based on the version of person that you're doing by showing up. And it's not because you have it all figured out. It's because, guys, I'm going through some struggles right now, and I want to share with you something that really ministered to me because it really hit me home. Those prayers I put out are to help other people, at least with a prayer that can help them pray if they don't know how to pray. But it's also prayers I'm praying.
Right.
It's real.
Right.
I just want to help other people. Man, the comments I get, the messages I get, it's like, God, thank you for the pressure I'm in because it's helping somebody else. Thank you for using me, even in my moment, to reach somebody that you needed to reach. And I'm just grateful that I was a vessel for that. That's what it boils down to. Right. So therefore, the struggle I'm in, is it really that bad?
It humbles you, it puts you in perspective, and again, you think that because you were in a car accident and this tragic thing happened, it's all about you. But then again, what was the outcome? What was the purpose? Again, cause and effect, as we've spoken throughout this podcast, which again, it's the mindset that society's put on us. So many things. We just don't look at the greater picture. We don't look at, as you said, the failures are actually successes, because if long as you pick yourself back up and keep pushing, keep moving, and it's a societal issue. So many things that within inside of the past 5 years has changed with everything that's been going on. it's really sad that society itself, humanity, has lost so much of its own focus. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah, and we're so focused, we've always been focused on celebrities and athletes and all these people of note, right? And now because of podcasters and influencers, man, I've got, 7,500 followers and this guy's got 1 million. Okay, but in marketing, your 7,500 followers love you way more than the 1 million that are following that athlete.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or that big top influencer, right? Okay, well, if you've got this audience of 7,500 that really dig you, or let's say that you've started a channel and you've had 25 downloads. You have 25 people that just said, I want to download that podcast and listen to it. 25 people. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe
amazing.
you want 1,000. Okay, you'll get there one day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got 25 that you just impacted. Thank God.
Yeah.
You're show up for them because they're the
Yeah.
ones
And
interested,
your
right?
words might have saved that person's life. Your words
Yep.
might have inspired them to start a business, then to affect 1,000 other people to hit that person's lifetime. It's that snowball effect that people just don't realize. They all focus on the glamorous. They all
Yep.
focus on the big car. They all focus on the big house, the big bank account. But as you said, what happens when you get it?
Mm-hmm.
If all you have done is nothing and you have not impacted society, what goals have you really accomplished? Yeah, you've got $1 million. Great, good for you. What are you doing with it?
What's
Besides paying
wild, man, is
taxes.
I do mindset performance coaching,
Hmm.
and I do it with some high performing athletes and entrepreneurs. They all have reached their dream. They've all reached the goal, and money, success, achievement. I'm talking, 3-time Olympians and people with 9 figures. They are unfulfilled
Yeah.
because they were chasing a carrot that they thought was going to give them meaning. Now,
Yeah.
sure, having money does solve a lot of problems, but it creates a lot of really big problems.
It does.
And if you, and I'll say this, people think, well, once I make more money, that'll solve all my problems. Well, if you don't have discipline with your little amount of money, why would you don't have the capacity to build that wealth, let alone manage the wealth at a bigger level if you
Mm-hmm.
can't manage it and build it from a small level,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all want
Yep.
to be, everybody wants to be a multimillionaire, but are you disciplined enough to manage the money you have? Right?
You always hear about
Yeah.
the lottery winners that go bankrupt in 6 months. After winning $50
Mhm.
million, it's gone.
If you're so focused on the 1 million subscribers, well, how are you going to build an audience if you're not even being attentive to the 25 you have?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not being consistent. You're not fulfilling them with a purpose. You know what I mean? So again, you're right. How can you grow if you're not paying attention? You're not dealing with,
Why are the 25 not enough?
right. And then
Right?
what are you gonna do for the 1 million?
Mhm. Yeah.
Are you gonna be fulfilled then? Of
Mhm.
course not. You think you're gonna reach that goal and all the problems are gonna go away and the sun's gonna come out and the birds are gonna sing, but then you just realize and you look around, what now?
I
What
was at
next?
an event I was speaking at, and I was being rushed to a table for a meet and greet. And there was this middle-aged lady, and she was kind of along the path I was being taken. There was a lot of people really busy, and she was waving at me. And the team I was with was pulling me through, and I was waving and about to pass her, and I stopped. I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, can I talk to you for just a minute?" Absolutely. Like, MD, we got to go. I was like, "No, give me a minute. Give me a minute." Those people are still going to be there. If they want to meet me, they're going to meet me, right?
Right.
This woman needs something. In 10 minutes, this woman shared her story of what I Decide had done for her and changed her life,
Wow.
pulled her out of addiction. And she just wanted to, haven't thought about this in a long time. Changed her life, got her out of addiction. And it wasn't me. It was being willing to serve this gift that I was given with I Decide and 35K and have the courage enough to just speak from the heart. And it changed her life. And she just wanted to say thank you and give me a hug. That was it.
Mhm.
Wow.
It makes it all worth it, doesn't it? All the sacrifice, everything, you know.
Man,
That one person's life has resulted in change. And then again, how many other people through that person will be changed because of
yeah.
the snowball effect?
Oh
You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
I'd hang it up tomorrow because then that was the purpose, right?
That was the purpose right there. Right. And
But
again, that may be the sole purpose of, you know what I
uh
mean? You never know.
So
So
it's,
there was
no
a
matter
reason.
no matter what we do in life, to realize there's a bigger purpose behind it. It's not self-serving. We're going to grow and we're going to evolve and develop as a human and become a better person because of it. Anytime you have your eyes set on something that's big, that's going to demand a version of you that doesn't even exist yet. That's amazing, right? That's why it is
Right.
scary. But also the people that you're going to impact along the way, that's the real reason,
Yeah.
right? It's not about me. It's about everybody that this may be the one thing they're going to hear in their life because they don't have anything positive in their life at all. And this, whatever this one thing may be, is going to hit. It's going to plant a seed. It's going to resonate and change. That's it. If you're a how-to person putting up how-to videos, and who's the guy that didn't have a dad to teach him, so he became the dad that teaches everybody on YouTube how to fix a toilet and all that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
He's helping a generation that kind of grew up fatherless.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. The
And
fulfillment.
he's able to impact so many people.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just by leaning into your thing of whatever that thing is. And your thing is not for everybody. So stop trying to be for everybody. Be for the people that find value in you.
Mm-hmm.
There
Those
a lot
are
of
words
people
of
out
inspiration right
there.
there.
There are a lot of people out there that love it because there's something out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what your thing is, focus on making impact because you will when you focus on that. Not trying to reach a certain number, because if you're in it for the money, you're going to get burned out real quick.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have an emotional tie to a bigger purpose and vision beyond yourself, that's going to be what carries you through the low seasons, the low days. Maybe my channel hasn't grown. Maybe there's a reason. What is that reason? Maybe, okay, the reason is I need to stick to it because I still believe in this vision. I'm going to prove to myself that this vision is big enough and this is my thing. I'm going to stick with it because maybe that's the test, right? The wind is blowing, you're completely blown out when you're trying to climb to your Everest. Does that mean you kick rocks and go back? No. You got into this to get to the top. So get to the top. Be the version that needs to get you there, right? Here's what I'm going to encourage our audience that because so often we focus on our losses and we think the losses are the reasons why we shouldn't continue. I call it a cookie jar. David Goggins, a former SEAL, guy's a different breed of human. He'll just run until he just can't run anymore. He'll do 250-mile running races. It's wild.
Wow.
But the concept is you're going to go through moments in life where you're in uncharted territory, you're afraid, you feel like you can't do it, right? So you need to get your focus to remind you that you can. So you get a stack of Post-it notes and a pen and a jar. And if you've never done this before, just start with the few things you can think about in your own life that you've accomplished, that you've won, that really meant something to you, and write each one down on a Post-it note and put it in the jar. And then as you begin to put focus on that, your brain's going to start to remember more things you've won that you're proud of, that you did, that you followed through, be either huge things or small things. Write them on a Post-it note, put them in the jar. Because the day that you're doubting, the day that you're overthinking, the day that you're in a spot in your journey and you're questioning, dump that cookie jar out and remind yourself of all of your wins, because that's who you actually are.
Yeah.
If those wins are proof that you were able to get up every time you lost and finally win, finally figure it out, finally follow through, finally get to the accomplishment, because it took losses along the way. If you don't remind yourself of your wins, you're going to forget them, which means you're going to think you're nothing but the losses. And if you're not looking at losses as lessons, then you're going to think it's just not for you. Right. So create a cookie jar for yourself. It's going to be one of the most invaluable tools that you can ever do to prove to yourself that you are capable. You are actually a winner. Winning is habitual. It just doesn't happen that often. But when it happens, it's meaningful. So remind yourself of them. The onus is on you. If you really want to win at something, remind yourself you're capable of it. And then that's going to drive you. That's going to fuel you during that path. When, Kobe Bryant, the work ethic of that guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He wanted to win so much. And to answer your point, how do you want to grow as a man in all these different areas? Kobe, if you talk to his team at the time, was an asshole. But you know why? He would get so frustrated because he was driving himself so much to operate at such a high level, and he'd invested in himself in every way possible to train and practice and perceive life in such a way because he wanted his teammates to feel what it feels like to win a championship. But if you are not going to show up with the same level of drive and ambition, then he is going to pull it out of you. And if you are unwilling for it to be pulled out, then get out.
Yep, get out of the way.
But he was hard on them because the journey's hard. And if you don't have a circle around you that is going to pull that out of you and hold you accountable, call you out on your BS when you're self-shaming or you're not leveling up, that's the circle. Because that means the circle actually wants to see you win. Winners want to see other people win, and winners want to help other people win too, because they know what it feels like to win. But if you're around your homies and everybody just bitches and complains and talks about living for Friday, wrong circle. I had that circle of friends, and I realized this doesn't reflect the version I really want to be. No shade on my homies. This is about 15, 16 years ago. I just knew I wanted more. I just put distance. I listed the core qualities and things in my life that I really wanted to have. Okay, then what kind of men do I need to have around me? Then I need to create space. I need to clear my table, if you will, and start over.
Yeah.
Right? So, but again, it came from working in myself and working on myself together over the past 15 years, and even looking at the lessons of my life as an athlete to start putting this stuff together. And for me, well, this is what's working for me, then I know this can work for other people. And that's why I started to put it out there. That's really the reason.
But again, also, I want to say this, is that it was that group of friends that was back in the day, living for Friday, that made you look and be like, I don't want this. So even though that was a stepping stone, that was a mailbox, shall we say, in your life, you recognized it, changed your focus, reset your focus to then grow and move on to different things. And that right there in itself is a life lesson in a minute.
Yeah.
Look at where you're at, realize it, know what you want, but then also, it's going to be a hard journey, but step by step, mailbox by mailbox. I'm going to live with that statement, by the way. I'm going to say that so many times for the rest of my life. Living for the mailboxes, focus on the next mailbox, and that journey becomes easier then,
It does. Well, it gives you small steps.
Yeah, exactly. And so many people, as you said, it's so poignant. Today I'm going to go online. Today I'm going to start my business. Oh, wait, it's Friday. I haven't made $20 million. I don't have 10,000 followers. What's wrong with me? It's not. Live the journey. Work the journey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fail, get back up, succeed. Because every failure is a success if you get back up.
It is.
That's one of my philosophies. Everybody fails. Everything you do, you are going to learn. You are going to do wrong, but you're going to learn, and that's the value of success there. So it is a successful step.
One of the biggest fears that holds a lot of people back is they're afraid of looking stupid or looking unpolished. Okay, and
cool. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, compare your day one to Joe Rogan or your day one to open mic night when Chris Rock first started comedy. Look at the first movie Dwayne Johnson did, or look at people's firsts as real comparison. Stop looking at where they are now. It's a great vision of like, man, I would really love to. I love the production value of their show, or I love how they do this or do that. I mean, that's why I have my mic flags. It was like, I like that on a show. How do I get one? I know where to get one, and I made one. Cool. I mean, when I my podcast set up, I researched what does Joe Rogan use in his studio, and that's what I got. That was in 2019. Because there was a blog out there that listed everything. That's what I'm getting. Right? I had the budget for it with the company I was with, and I ended up just being able to take it all with me, which was great.
One of the perks.
Yeah, one of the perks. But again, because I have been podcasting since 2009. I had a USB microphone, not great. It was called, it was called MD Yak Attack, and I just ranted for like an hour.
Right.
It had, I think it was like 10,000 listeners at one point. And I was I was just ranting, like, what is this podcasting thing anyway? you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it just, but the skill, and I just kept leaning into it. And I had a business podcast that amassed a huge following because I was sitting down with business owners and entrepreneurs and tycoons learning their come up story. Because I wanted to inspire people that were just beginning to learn tactics of, okay, you say use credit cards. What do you mean you use credit cards to carry your business? Where were you personally financially? You say you mortgaged your house. What do you mean you did that? Right? Tell me the tactics of how you went from zero to where you are right now. Because I want my listeners to take notes and walk away going, this is how he did it. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to walk away with things they can actually do. I'm so over the ideology and the motivation. Because I've been to every single
Yeah.
seminar there to get the secret and buy the book that has a secret. And the only secret was buy the next book. It's not helping me. I'm a forensic guy. I want to know what I can do to instigate change. And because I was so tired of all the fluff, that's how I approach what I do. I'm going to give prayers to help people. I'm going to give a video that can give somebody a new perspective in life. And I'm going to give them a takeaway they can apply today. And then let's keep going. Because the thing that you don't want to lose is momentum. Because again, most people have a hard time starting momentum because the first step isn't small enough. But once you take that first step, now you're starting momentum. Okay, let's do the next step. I mean, you think about babies, when they take their first step and they fall over, like, idiot, he'll never walk.
Right, exactly.
Baby. What do parents do when he takes his first step? We go and, oh my God, it's his first
It's a
step.
celebration, right. Motivation, keep pushing, keep inspiring, keep going.
What do we do? Man, that sucked.
That was such a waste of time. Why did you even try? You just, you're not popular enough. You're not pretty enough. Your hair's not enough. You're not rich enough.
Mm-hmm.
But that's our human nature.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So you have to have appropriate mailboxes, have the right perspective and expectation on your wins, and prove yourself right. One of the greatest hindrances of long-term growth is trying to prove people or somebody wrong that didn't support your vision because it wasn't theirs. The problem is, if you focus on proving people wrong as the fuel for your journey, by the time you end up where you feel like you want to end up, they're nowhere to be seen because you're so far down the road, you can't see them. And why would you want them to go, oh man, look at him now? Why would you want that?
Right. What's the positiveness out of that?
If they didn't value you then, why would they value you now?
That's right.
Right? So rather than prove people wrong, prove yourself right. Prove your vision. Prove that was for you, because that's going to be the thing that gets you to get up and go, I'm going to do it again today.
Well, it's your journey. You know what I mean? No matter what you do, whether it's opening up a coffee shop, whether it's finding a better job, having a better relationship, it's your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it for someone else. Do it for you.
Yeah.
Because your journey, when it's valued, when your only value of your journey is other people's opinion,
Yeah.
is it really valued? Is it really your journey?
Yeah.
Why take those steps if you're just looking for validation from others? For what?
Right. That's right.
Because there is no growth for you at that point, And again, that's what we get into: chasing the trends, being not organic, being fake, overproduction. You know what I mean? All of these things, and that's what I said earlier. And I'll reiterate again: stop now, hit rewind, start again, and rewatch this thing. There are so many nuggets of inspiration, of truth, of facts, of guidance that in this hour and 46 minutes that I can relate to, and I'm going to walk away from. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I am the prettiest, but I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But I also know when I see facts, when I see inspiration, and I can just I want to wait till this is done, Alan. We need to get this back up and done because I have about 30 people I want to email this thing to. You know what I mean? And I cannot say this enough. Is I see so much wisdom in this. I'm taken back. And I like you say, I'm kind of a smart guy, and I am so glad on Saturday woke up, to do this because again, there's a purpose, there's a reason.
Yeah.
I always say that in life. As long as you can figure out the good things, the bad things, there's a purpose and reason. How do you walk away from it being positive? I had a car accident. I broke my leg. It's horrible. What was the cause and effect? What are you taking away from that? And again, I am awestruck. Let's put it like that. So I am so motivated now too. I want to go and do something today. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, this is yeah. I cannot thank you enough for this
Yeah,
opportunity.
super inspirational.
You know,
Thank you, guys.
yeah.
I
Uh,
appreciate the conversation.
how can people find out more about you?
They can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and then the podcast 35K a day. It's all one word, 35K a day. You can find that where I share a lot of my thoughts, hear some of my interviews, and then my social channels, really just things I share, whether it's a prayer, whether it's a thought, whether it's something I want to encourage people with. That's where they can find me.
Well, you definitely have 2 new followers. There's no buts about that.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I really
Yes,
appreciate
well,
that.
Andy, I appreciate your time. We thank you very much for the inspiration and being able to pick your brain for a little bit. Truly see great things coming from our interview today. And definitely, as Alan has said, we are definitely going to be watching and seeing the next great tasks you'll be taking on. So,
Brian, Alan, I
very
appreciate you
looking
guys.
for that.
Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow our podcast and share it with your friends. Got thoughts or questions? Go to behindthelive.com where you can join our Discord or submit questions for other creators. We'd love to hear from you. Also connect with us on social media, search Behind the Live or our parent company, Elite Vault Agency. Until next time, keep creating, exploring, and we'll see you behind the live.